Good day, everyone. My name is Faith Baro, and today I'll be reporting about the ecosystem. So, my report is categorized into three subtopics, which are First Law of Ecology, Earth's life support systems and major components of an ecosystem, which is the biotic and abiotic components. Before I start with the first law of ecology, let us first know who is Barry Carnegie and what is his role in ecology. So Barry Carnegie is a leader among a generation of scientists, activists, and possibly the greatest environmentalist of the 20th century. He is credited as the founder of the modern environmental movement, and Commoner is best known for his 4 laws of ecology, which he outlined in the first chapter of the Closing Circle. The first law of ecology states that everything is connected to everything else, which means it reflects the existence of elaborate network of interconnections in the ecosphere among different living organisms and between populations, species, and individual organisms and their physiochemical surroundings. So the first law states what Commoner called a simple fact about ecosystems, which means that all healthy ecosystems are interconnected and self-stabilizing, which means if any part of a natural ecosystem is damaged or overstressed, it can trigger for wider problems. So for example, the burning of fossil fuels is overloading the global carbon cycle, which in turn is triggering dramatic changes to climate, global ice cover, weather patterns, ocean acidification, farming yields, sea levels, government budgets, and worldwide refugee figures. And now, let us talk about the Earth's life support system and its major components. So as we all know, there are 5 main systems or spheres on Earth. First is the geosphere, which consists of the interior and surface of the Earth, both of which are made up of rocks. Second is the biosphere. It is the limited part of the planet that can support living things. Third is the hydrosphere, which are the areas of Earth that are covered with enormous amounts of water. And next one is atmosphere. It is an envelope of gas that keeps the planet warm and provides oxygen for breathing and carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. And the last one is cryosphere, which contains huge quantities of ice at the poles and elsewhere. And now let us talk about the major components of an ecosystem, which are the biotic and abiotic components. And now let us discuss what biotic components are. So biotic components include all living organisms and their products. This group includes animals, plants, bacteria, fungi, and their waste products like fallen leaves or branches or excreta. So based on their activity, biotic components are classified into 4 categories as producers, consumers, transformers, and decomposers. So let us see these categories. First one is producers. Producers are transducers, or also known as autotrophs, who make their own food. Producers such as plants make food through a process called photosynthesis. So this food is used by the plant for its own energy or may be eaten by consumers. Producers convert solar energy into chemical energy with the help of organic and inorganic substances. And the next one would be consumers. Consumers are the organisms whose food requirements are met by feeding on other organisms. So they consume the food materials prepared by the producers, which are autotrophs. Hence, consumers are called as heterotrophic organisms. Animals belong to this category. Depending upon their food habits, consumers are classified into primary, secondary, and tertiary consumers. Primary consumers are solely feed on animals, like herbivores who are plant eaters, such as grasshopper, rabbit, goat, sheep, are classified as primary consumers. Next is the secondary consumers, which feed on some primary consumers. These For example of these are carnivores who are flesh eaters like hawks, tiger, and lions. And omnivores are the biophages which eat both vegetable and flesh such as cockroaches, fox, and humans. Secondary consumers are those which predate on primary consumers. Examples are several species of insects and fishes. And the last one is tertiary consumers, which are the predators of predators. So they are most likely larger animals. Transformers. So transformers are certain types of bacteria. They attack on materials excreted by other living organisms, even dead plants and animals. So they transform the above into either organic or inorganic substances. So these substances are suitable for the nutrition of green plants. Transformers help in recycling the nutrients which came as waste already. And the last one would be decomposers. So they are also called as microconsumers. They depend on dead organic matter for their food. They are chiefly microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. So they break the complex of organic matter found in plants and animal bodies and release simple substances. So these substances will be used by autotrophs once again. Some invertebrate animals like protozoa and earthworms use this dead organic matter for their food, so they are also called as secondary decomposers. Abiotic components. Now let's talk about abiotic components. Abiotic components are the non-living components of the ecosystem. They are of three categories. First is climatic and physical factors, which includes air, water, soil, and sunlight, rainfall, temperature, humidity, soil texture, and geomorphic conditions. Second is the inorganic substances. So they are various nutrient elements and compounds such as carbon, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, carbon dioxide, water, and etc. These are involved in the cycling of materials in the ecosystem. So the third one is organic compounds. These are proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, humic substances, etc. They largely form the living body and link the abiotic compounds with the biotic factors. The abiotic factors determine the type of organisms that can successfully live in a particular area. So here are some of the major non-living factors of an ecosystem. First is sunlight. Sunlight is necessary for photosynthesis. It influences organisms and their environment. It has a profound effect on the growth and development of life. Next is water. Water is the elixir of life. All living things require water for their survival, but some can live with lesser amounts. The next one is temperature. All living things have a range of temperatures in which they can survive. Beyond those limits, it will be difficult for them to live. Oxygen. Many living things require oxygen. It is necessary for cellular respiration, a process used to obtain energy from food. Others are actually killed by the presence of oxygen or the central bacteria. And the last one is soil. The type of soil, pH, amount of water it holds, available nutrients, etc. determine what type of organism can successfully live in or on the soil. For example, cacti live in sand. So the inorganic substances like nitrates, carbonates, and phosphates occur either freely or in the form of compounds dissolved in water and soil. I guess that would be the end of my report. Thank you so much for listening.